Hey there, so I noticed that in the last couple of months in the atheist community, the issue of multiculturalism is being brought up quite often. And let's not be shy about it, it's usually in the context of discussions about Islam. Multiculturalism is just another word for diversity, they say. And diversity is obviously a good thing, they add. And in principle, I do agree with that. What I don't agree with is multiculturalism being used as a facade for granting special rights and privileges. And I am mainly talking about Islam now, but I'm sure that's not the only case. Now, about a week ago, I put up a little quiz on Twitter just to see what other people are thinking about this. And I mentioned that I'm gonna answer the questions myself in a video, which is what I'm about to do right now. My first question was, do you think Sharia courts should be allowed in Europe/US? And Australia, Canada, and so on. There is no way I can fit everything I want to say on this in just a couple of minutes, so I answered this question in detail on my blog. If you want to reply to me, please read that first. The link is in the sex bar below. But to answer it in short, I welcome the idea of Sharia courts probably just as much as I welcome the idea of being stabbed in the ovaries. I fully support Mariam Namazi's petition, which demands one secular law for all citizens and opposes faith-based laws as being completely arbitrary and discriminatory. Now, one of the main counter-arguments I received was that Sharia courts in the West are only limited to civil matters. To which I say, yeah, civil matters that are at the very basis of discrimination, especially against women and children. If you think religious principles should have legal authority over things like child custody, divorce, inheritance, domestic violence, then I guess you and I are just probably living in different universes or something. Another argument was that there are already Jewish courts of law and Christian laws, so in this case, what's wrong with Sharia courts? I'm sorry, but to me this sounds a bit like saying, well, cancer ain't that bad, I mean, you already have AIDS. I don't think religion, any religion, should be incorporated in state laws, period. I guess my idea of progress is trying to fix the bad things, not adding new bad things on top of them. But maybe I'm just crazy. My second question was, should wearing burqas in public be banned? And I talked about this before. Obviously, as a general rule, I think people should have the right to wear whatever the hell they want. But I don't think burqas should be allowed in places where all non-Muslims are required to show their face. For instance, if at my workplace we have a dress code that requires everybody to show their faces at all times, then I don't see why my Muslim colleagues should be exempt from that just because of their religion/culture. I mean, if they are allowed to wear their burqas at work, then I should be allowed to show up dressed like fucking Zorro. Well, minus the sword. Third question was, would you be okay with Muslims or other religious groups having more breaks a day for prayer? And the fourth question was pretty similar, so I'm gonna skip that. The most common argument of people in favor of this was that smokers have more breaks too, which kinda brings us back to the AIDS versus cancer thing. I'm not okay with people having more rights because of their religion, and I am not okay with people having more rights because of their addiction. I would also not be okay with nymphomaniacs demanding more free time from work because they really need to get laid 5 times a day. But if the employer and employee are in agreement, then what's your fucking problem? In most places in the West, employers don't have the legal right to discriminate based on race, religion, nationality, and so on. And I think that's great. And I think the same principle should be applied in regards to granting special privileges based on those things. Believing that people should be treated equally doesn't make me a bigot towards Muslims. Or smokers, for that matter. Or nymphomaniacs. I actually think nymphomaniacs are pretty cool. Bottom of line, I don't have such a crush on multiculturalism to the point where it becomes almost interchangeable with segregation. And I think religion should have absolutely no saying in legal matters. That doesn't mean I'm against multiculturalizing. Yep, I totally just used that as a verb. For the record, multiculturalizing is an actual word. You can find it in the dictionary of shit I just made up. What I mean is that I would honestly be glad to see like a museum of anthropology next to a mosque, next to a gay bar. I think that would be awesome. And people from different cultures living together and working together and mixing and interacting with each other. Like Ollie from Daw Films meeting up with Snooki from Jersey Shore. And you know, she's like, yo, I'm totally like digging your beard and shit. And he's like, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And she goes, yeah, whatever. Wanna smosh? And he's like, do I wanna what? And she's all, I'm asking, what is your to-do list and am I on it? So he starts rambling something about haram and Allah and the Quran, and she's all, I totally don't understand like what you're saying. You're like super weird and shit. I'ma go tanning. So she goes away and then he starts to breakdance. And that's multiculturalizing, yo.